Welcome, everybody. It's fabulous. We've got a full house here today, and I am Emer Beamer from Design-a-thon. I'll be connecting all the wonderful young people and organizations that we have here today. A little question before we kick off. We're recording the session. If anybody does not want to be recorded, please put your name in the chat and we'll make sure that you're not part of it when it goes to YouTube. Something else I'd like to recognize before we kick off completely is we know that we have a big disaster going on in India. And despite that, our wonderful colleagues and organizations from India are here. They all said, it's all the more important to continue doing this good work. So thank you to them for joining us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. This is a real collaboration between organizations. We have Design-a-thon Works, myself, we have Learning Planet, we have Dream a Dream from India, we have Save the Children, we have DIKSHA, and we have YouthxYouth. We've worked together. We've got 3 parts to this program, so you can know what to expect from us. Very briefly, us adults, the 18 plus folk, will say something about the organization. Then we will give the major block of time to our youth participants who we want to hear from. Then we have a breakout room, so you can connect to those youth participants and discuss the issues of youth contributing to a better world. And then we'll bring it all together and talk about next steps. Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm going to hand over to Ed, because he's going to tell us a little bit about the link between this session and the next session. Ed.
Thank you so much, Ema, and it's so wonderful to see so many of you here. I'm really excited for this session, and thank you so much to the co-organizers from Design-a-thon, from DIKSHA, from YouthxYouth, from Dream a Dream, from the Catalyst 2030 Network. I'm part of the Learning Planet team here today, and if I could just ask Anthony to share your screen. So we're really excited for this session to launch the Youth Empowerment Circle. And so this is one of 2 circles that we're launching during the Catalyzing Change Week. The idea of circles is really having regular sessions where we can connect like-minded communities with shared causes to co-build meaningful projects. And so at Learning Planet, what we are trying to do is we're a community of actors passionate about transforming education to address the global challenges. And so what we are trying to do with this Youth Empowerment Circle that you've joined today is really bring together youth-focused organizations and institutions of different ages, of different backgrounds, to meet, to share resources, and to really advance meaningful collaborations towards youth empowerment at an international level. So we're really exploring how can we use the exchanges in this group, which will emerge hopefully in following sessions on Thursday, which we'll share more about later, and moving on later into the year to really push forward projects and develop projects connecting leading institutions as well as incredible grassroots youth organizations and movements. And so in the next session on Thursday, you'll be able to see some of the resources that we've created to help facilitate this circle. And yeah, we're really excited for you to experience this with us today. And a special thank you as well to CAC 2030, Children in All Policies, and to the Catalyst 2030 Network, who will be really helping us to co-lead what should be an exciting circle, looking forward into the future with the emergence of some subgroups as well, really tackling specific issues in youth health, in youth rights, in youth education. So very excited for the session today, and thank you so much for your participation. Over to you, Ima.
Thank you very much, Edward. Can we go to the next slide, Anthony, because we want to hear from DIKSHA, sharing briefly what that organization does, and that's Soham Pal.
Thank you. On behalf of DIKSHA, I welcome you all to this session on the activation of the Youth Empowerment Circle. DIKSHA works with the marginalized youth and believes in protection through participation. At DIKSHA, we believe that the young people should be given the autonomy to question the societal rules that have been followed for decades. It provides an open and safe space for the youth to question the pre-written scripts of life and write their own scripts, and also a space where they can voice their own aspirations, dreams, views on different opinions and make informed decisions. DIKSHA educates the youth not only to make them aware of their rights, but also to empower them to identify, resist, and prevent any violation of those rights, not only for themselves, but for everyone around them. We believe that the youth have a much greater influence in today's world and can make an increasing number of people aware of that in a snowballing effect. DIKSHA does not believe in any preference towards any particular gender because everyone is human and treats them equally. Everyone has full rights to voice one's opinions and stand against any sort of injustice. We strive to reduce inequalities not only on the basis of gender, but also with respect to caste, color, creed, and religion. Some of the very disturbing issues which are not letting many live peaceful lives. DIKSHA's works are directly connected with SDGs number 3, that is good health and well-being, number 4, that is quality education, number 5, that is gender equality, and number 10, that is reducing inequalities. DIKSHA definitely believes that the youth empowerment is necessary and that every young person should have the opportunity to speak without any judgment. Judging makes one feel insecure. I would like to point out that at DIKSHA, we put a lot of emphasis on the psychosocial well-being of the youth. For only healthy and an unhealthy and unwell mind cannot lead change. I believe DIKSHA's faith in youth power is evident in giving me the opportunity to speak, despite of me being the youngest youth volunteer at DIKSHA. On this note, I would like to thank DIKSHA for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank the organizers for coming up with such an amazing idea of youth empowerment. I would like to specially thank Mr. Anindit Chowdhury, Save the Children India, for being with us today, given the critical condition he is going through due to COVID infections. Hope you all will have a great time today participating in the event. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Soham. And for those who didn't catch that, he's a young DIKSHA member and volunteer himself. He's only 19. And just remind us, Soham, which part of India are you guys based?
We're based in West Bengal.
West Bengal.
Yes.
Thanks very much. Wonderful to hear from you and the very important work that you guys are doing. So Zeynep, from a completely different part of the world, can we hear from you for a few minutes? And the next slide, please, Anthony.
Awesome. Thank you, Emmer. So hi, everyone. I'm going to just introduce YouthxYouth very briefly. So YouthxYouth is a global community of youth activists and adult allies that are dedicated to the reimagination and transformation of education with the goal of supporting humanity to go towards collective liberation. Our main aim is really to accelerate the process of young people influencing, designing, and transforming their learning experiences and their education systems. It's based on the belief that young people should have the autonomy and responsibility over their education and over their learning. And we want to support them in getting more and more of that. So YouthxYouth was actually very recently launched at the Learning Planet Festival in January of this year. where we gathered youth activists from around the world, from over 50 countries, to reflect on the overarching question, what if young people design the future of education? We follow the methodology of starting with what is, going to what if, and then what now. So really the goal here when we start with what is supporting young people in making sense of the very complex world we live in, and to identify some of the root causes that are leading to the symptoms that we're seeing, as opposed to constantly just approaching the symptom as a way to address the problem that we're seeing in the world. We also, this what is piece is also very much focused on supporting them in making meaning out of what's happening and helping them make sense of the world they inhabit. So as I said, the second step is what if. We believe that radical reimagination and the creation of new visions is what supports us in getting the excitement and the imagination for what actually is possible. And finally, what now is about building our capacity for action and to act as connected education activists. So at the moment, we're actually starting to build prototypes for local action circles by young people that we want to be able to connect globally so that they can have that voice. And then another big piece of the work that we do is collaboration with youth organizations so that we can elevate our collective voices. And I've personally had the chance of collaborating with many of the people already in this room. The last thing is I'm going to post in the chat a bit of an activist toolkit that we've made available for our young people, and that is fully available for anyone who wants to have access to it. And thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much, Zainab. And I was lucky enough to attend one of the sessions and was so impressed that you guys had collected young people from every continent, and the sessions were all being facilitated by youth. They're really true to your name, Youth by Youth. Thanks. Let's hear from Chinapa from India and Dream a Dream.
Thanks, Emma. And hey, hi, Zainab. Good to see you again. I would love to share something about Dream a Dream. Everything is in front of the screen. I would like to highlight few. We at Dream a Dream create space. We empower children and young people from vulnerable background to overcome adversity and thrive in fast changing world. And it's been 21 years since Dream a Dream started, and I'm grateful to Vishal Talreja and the team for doing it. We work with 10,000 young people through our innovation labs, two of them, one after school life skill program and the second one Career Connect program. And we have trained over 9,828 teachers and educators from 206 partners, impacting over 245,700 children. Working through strategic partnership with state governments like Delhi, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Telangana, Uttarakhand in India. And we collaborate with local charities, corporates, volunteers, governments, experts, consultants, and also the host of national and the international strategic partners. So yeah, we exist to empower young people from vulnerable background to overcome adversity and thrive in the fast changing world. I would also like to highlight Change the Narrative, which I lead and the whole team is here. Change the Narrative is a platform which provides and creates space for innovation from young people. We work with young people to engage them through dialogue, creating space to be bold, raise their voice for justice, address their concerns and issues, opening up their perspective of being young people or youth. So through Change the Narrative, young women and men from across the globe come together at one platform and bring their collective energies to create a vision to the forum. We draw up the list of recommendations of action, reflecting the most pressing needs and concerns of youth today. So basically, we create space for young people, a safe space to share their perspective, what they believe in, what is good for them, and what are their daily challenges, concerns that they're being through. And we create space and where young people can empower themselves to become powerful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chinapa. And again, wonderful to see that you've come up through the ranks of Dream a Dream and now are running your own initiative, taking that work even further. Wonderful. I'm actually double role here. Next slide, please. We'll share very briefly so we can get on to our younger speakers. I'm co-founder of Design-a-thon Works. We empower children, so we work with the 8 to 12 year age all over the world. They design solutions for the SDGs, prototype them, and present them to experts, policymakers, and many forums around the world. We work with 40 different countries, every socio-economic background. And at the end of the session, I'll post a link so you could potentially use this method with your organization. Let's get on to our young people. We won't need the screen because they're going to speak. Our very first young person is Harshita, and he is going to speak about Dream a Dream. And I don't know your age, Harshita, but maybe you'll tell us as well, because we're shifting down a generation for the next session, and we'll hear for 4, maybe 5 minutes from Harshita. After that, we'll have Eliza. After that, Wael from Amsterdam, our youngest, he's 12. And then we're going to have a video compilation of all these wonderful children from DIKSHA. But let's hear from Harshita. Are you okay? Can we hear you?
1 second, Mom.
Oh.
Is nu weer.
Harshita, if you're having trouble now, what we can do is go to Eliza.
This is a Harshita. So I'm from graduate. So player currently playing for.
Oh, that's a real shame. We can't hear you, or is it just me? No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Harshita. Is it an idea? We'll go to Eliza and then come back to you. And hopefully then in the next 5 minutes, you can sort out the sound, or maybe Chinapa can help you. And then we'll come back to you. So we'll go to Eliza first, if that's okay with Eliza, and then come back to Harshita. Can I give you the stage, Eliza? Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
By Youth.
So I haven't done very much planning at all. I'm just going to see what comes out of my mouth. Really great to see you all. I'm 18. I'm from England. I live in Devon. And I'm kind of here to talk about the small scale stuff, I think. So Zainab introduced the organization that I'm working with. And we're a kind of global organization, but really into thinking about paring back to relationships and time in smaller spaces. So as activists, we often dream big, and that can make us seek change on a really big global or national scale. And Why by Why started in that way, which was a really rich and cross-cultural experience, but I feel that it's within the balance between big thinking and small actions that true and sustainable change can happen. So thinking about this, me and Jess, one of the co-organisers, have started kind of dreaming up a local action circle in Devon where we live. which will look like a community across the county making small changes in their respective schools to begin reclaiming their education. So yeah, that's all I can think of to say, but no, let me just think for a minute.
I can also ask you a question if that's helpful, Eliza.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'd love to hear, like, which small action do you feel able to take in maybe your own schooling? Yeah.
I think often it's about creating relationships with teachers outside of putting each other into boxes. So often I didn't see my teachers as human beings. They were just kind of these robots at the front of the class. So often if we can create spaces in the classroom to kind of connect to each other on a real level, then I think that's already very powerful, because youth aren't seen as able to create their own. Yeah, I think creating that space where the power imbalance isn't so big is beneficial for everyone.
So if I understand correctly, you were able to intervene and create space which was initiated by the students, as opposed to the teacher being the one to dictate the form and the program. You shifted that balance.
We're looking to, yeah, because Youth by Youth is so recent, there haven't been many actions yet. I think it's more in the dreaming up stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It often takes longer than we would like, and we have to start where we are. Would you like to share something else with us, Eliza, or contribute later?
No, carry on. Go to the next question.
Okay. Let's check then. Well, thank you so much for speaking. And let's check with Harshita if the sound is ready to go for you.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Harshita from Bangalore. So even I'm a Dream graduate from Life Skill Through Football. So I'm currently playing for Super Division women football team in Bangalore. So let me tell you how I entered to football field. Because we know that as a girl, so it's a very hard to study. Even the parents won't allow us to for the education only. As I'm a girl, let me see how I went for the sports. So we know that in my life, Dream played a very important role, because I never thought that I could go into this field. So when Dream came, when they started to collaborating with our school called Stella Mary's, so they came forward to teach us life skills through football and art and creativity. So I choose football. It's only because I am interested in athletes. So for the first time, I have...
Oh, that's a real shame. We're losing her.
It's only, you know why? So it's not after the session. So I went 6 and more connected. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute.
Hello.
We lost you for a minute and now you're back.
Yeah. So then I got connected with football and I got interested more in football. Then the challenges which I have faced and the obstacles which came in my life, like bearing for a bus fare, because I am basically from a middle class family. So even we are like at my present family situation, it's too hard, because only my mother works. My mother leads the whole family, because me and my brother used to study. So my father got paralyzed from the 10 years. So he's in a bed rest. only my mother, like she is been like a backbone for our family. So I'm not able to ask her the bus fare for my football practice. Then I went for my beloved ones who always supports me for football. So I went there and I asked them help from them, and I got, so they're always I want to mention some names. It may be like from all dream facilitators, and it's maybe Manju. So I have to thank Jainagar Football FC. It's a boys team. I used to go with boys team and I used to play with boys. Then facing a society is more risky more than anything, because their perception is so different. When I used to play with the boys, like they used to think so, like something, their perception will be different when we be with the boys. So I know that one day the same person will be appreciating me for that same success. So I thought that, and I just ignored their words, and I just move on my life. So why I took this more challenge or obstacles is only because of one incident which I had in my life, that I like to share for everyone. So Dream gave me a chance for to travel for France to participate in Street Football World Festival event which held in France. So I went there. So the concept of that event is bringing a equality among all the countries. Okay, then we went there and we got mixed up with all the countries, and there is a one team called single leg handicapped. So I'm totally surprised with that, because I never thought that even single leg handicapped also can play football. So it's been totally different, because sometimes even we are having everything, so we are so regretting for the god for something else. So even though they are lacking with a one leg, so they are so satisfied with their life. So the spirit, the attitude which they are showing towards football, it's amazing. And I thought that that is a more inspiration. Than I thought that at that moment I thought, so I should do something else in my football. And I fixed my mind, I came back to India, and I formed my girls team, and it's been for 2 years. And I went for the super division trials. I got selected, and I represented Karnataka. So I participated in senior national. I also played for Indian Women League. So this is how my journey started with the snacks, and went for the passionate girl for the football. Yeah, thank you, Mom.
Wow. Harshita, that sounds like an amazing journey. Yeah, exactly. Thanks so much for sharing, and so wonderful to hear that sport and football especially was able to play such a big role for you, and obviously with Dream a Dream supporting you in the background. What a lovely story. Thank you so much for sharing. And Harshita and Eliza and Soham, they'll all be in the breakout rooms as well. So everyone here will hopefully get a chance to speak to you all more, and feel free to put questions in the chat. Can I now forward to Wael Karazi? He's from Design-a-thon, and he's going to share his ideas.
Thank you, Aimer. Hello, everyone. My name is Wael Karazi. I am the founder of Wael Salutum. Salutum is the Latin name for help and showing respect. Salutum is a technology company committed to health, privacy, and respectful social values. I am 30 years old who is committed to peace, freedom, friendship, and respect, who sacrifices himself for others. My ambition is to be part of the young people who color his of her environment and choose the world a little more beautifully. During the corona pandemic, I invented a device that warns when the distance between people is less than 1.5 meters. I want to use technology to do something good for society and contribute to the social values. I have made a device that indicates with a simple beep when you are too close to someone. If the distance is correct, the device will light up green. If people get too close, the light turns red and emits alarming beeps. My device ensures the safety of people in a respectful way. My advice to young people is to become aware of the most important asset they have, which is the creative and open mindset. Please use this essence and help make the world a better place. Helping others is the way we help ourselves. Yeah, dit was het. This is.
Excellent, Wael. Thank you so much for sharing. And just asking you there at the end, you were saying that you think it's wonderful when young people contribute their, and just say the words for me again, because I missed that. What do you see young people as contributing? What you were just saying there at the end.
I say, no, my advice to young people.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, just
Okay.
say that again if you would.
Okay, my advice to young people is to become aware of the most important essence they have, which is the creative and open mindset.
Brilliant. So yeah, I totally agree. So what young people can offer, and especially your age group, is their creativity and their open mindset. So that's wonderful. And have you anything that you would advise adults to do to help children and young people like you?
Let them think with a great, with open mindset.
Yeah. Give them some space to do that, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, is what I mean.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing, and lovely to hear from you. So that was Wael from Design-a-thon. He's based in Amsterdam, and I think that was his first time speaking in English to a big crowd. So well done to you, and probably for other people here as well. English is not the first language, so no problem if you have an accent or whatever. Thank you, Wael. And now we're going to watch a video, I hope. Call on Anthony to share it. It's a video from DIKSHA with a number of young people from DIKSHA telling their stories. They're speaking in their own language, and we'll read the words to see what they're saying. Thank you.
আমার নাম হচ্ছে প্রিয়াঙ্কা মান্না, আর আমার বয়স হচ্ছে 14, আর আমি কালীঘাটে থাকি। আর আমি অনেক শেয়ার করতে পারি, অনেক ঘরের প্রবলেম, বাইরের প্রবলেম আমি কোথাও পারি না বলতে, যাকে বললি সে বলে দেয়। ওই জন্য আমি দীক্ষা এসে কাউন্সিলিং করি। আর অনেক প্রবলেম থেকে মানে আমার মেন্টালি হেল্প পাই আমি অনেক কিছু। আর আমার পড়াশোনা হচ্ছিল না অনেক দিন ধরে লকডাউনে। আমি বলেছিলাম যে পড়াশোনা হচ্ছে না, কিন্তু ওরা পড়াশোনার হেল্পটাও করে দিয়েছিল, আমার মেন্টালি হেল্পটা ওরা করে দিয়েছিল পুরো।
আমার জীবনে অনেকটা ভালোই পরিবর্তন হয়েছে। আমি দীক্ষা থেকে ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলতে গেছি, অনেকবার আমি ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলে এসেছি, তো আমাকে অনেক ভালো লাগছে যে আমি বাইরে ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলতে গেছি এর জন্য।
আমরা তখন দীক্ষা করতাম না, তো আমরা তখন অনেক ছিলাম, পড়াশোনা তো মন ছিল না এখানে খালি আবারগিরি খেলাধুলো এইসবে খালি মনটা টান ছিল। যখন আমরা দীক্ষা জয়েন হয়েছি তো একটা টান ছিল দীক্ষায় যাওয়ার, তো আমরা ওখানে যাব, কিছু শিখবো, নতুন নতুন গেম শিখবো, কিছু এনজয়মেন্ট করব, অনেক কিছু শিখে আমরা অন্য কাউকে শেখাবো, এটা আমরা একটা টান ছিল। আমরা সেশন দিয়ে শিখি চাইল্ড ম্যারেজ যাকে বলে, ছোট উমরে বিয়ে হয়ে যাওয়া সবচেয়ে খারাপ কথা। এটা কম উমরে বাচ্চারা পড়াশোনা না করে ছোট বয়সে হয়ে যাচ্ছে, বিয়ে হয়ে যাচ্ছে, ও নিজের স্বপ্ন পুরো করতে পারছে না। তো এই জন্য বলবো যে আগে যে মেয়েটার বিয়ে হয়ে যাচ্ছে কম উমরে, কি ও যে যাওয়ার কোথায় বি আছে, মানে কোন বি জায়গা বি যাওয়ার আছে, তো পার হতে পারছে না, তো ওকে বাদী করে ঘরে মানে বিয়ে করে ফাঁসিয়ে দিচ্ছে কি ওর বি একটা স্বপ্ন আছে কি আমি একটা কিছু বানবো না বানবো, তো ওই জন্যে ওকে বাধা দিয়েছি আমরা, ওতে আমরা সফল হয়েছি, এটা আমি বলতে চাই।
As you can make out, the snowballing in DIKSHA occurs through young people who in turn enable others. The field animators in DIKSHA are young, or not so young today, but they have grown from the grassroots in the DIKSHA process. Diksha employs young people at the absolute fringes of the society to become change makers for a better world.
আমার নাম সপ্তমী পাল। আমি দীক্ষার একজন কর্মী এখন। আমার 31 বছর বয়স। এখন আর আমি ইউথ নই, কিন্তু আমার যখন 10 বছর বয়স ছিল তখন থেকেই আমি দীক্ষার সাথে জড়িত। সেই 10 বছর বয়স থেকে আজ 31 বছর, এই 21 বছরে নিজের লড়াইগুলো নিজেই লড়তে শিখেছি দীক্ষার হাত ধরে। আজ দীক্ষা না থাকলে আমি নিজে এই জায়গাটায় থাকতাম না। আর সেই নিজে যেগুলো শিখেছি সেইগুলোই এখন বাচ্চাদের মধ্যে আমি তুলে ধরছি, যাতে বাচ্চারা নিজেদের লড়াই নিজেরা করতে পারে, নিজেরা লড়তে পারে, নিজেরাই দাঁড়াতে পারে নিজেদের পায়ে।
Hi, my name is Shari Banerjee. I'm 22 years old and I'm working with DIKSHA as a field animator. You just heard from our community members and what we are doing with them. They might not have been able to make the connection between DIKSHA experience and the SDG goals, but I'm pretty sure all of you already made that. So over here at DIKSHA, we are directly working with SDG goals 3, 4, 5 and 10. We at DIKSHA ensure that the kids get access to good nutritious food, they get an opportunity to delve into sports, and we offer them various forms of psychological support that is directly working towards good health and well-being. We provide guidance to the kids so that they get an opportunity at good quality education which lies beyond traditional school learning. We educate them in such a way that they develop life skills and are able to apply them. At DIKSHA, we make it a point to discuss the gender gap issue and break taboos and other orthodox patriarchal norms through our sessions so that boys and girls can go beyond the traditional and orthodox gender roles and create their own identities. We are working with young people in an environment of mutual growth and learning. We are trying to break the traditional norms between the implementer and the beneficiary. Following a pure learning approach, we are aiming towards a world beyond inequalities and hierarchies. So that is the work we are doing right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all those beautiful stories. And I just put in the chat as well, Paramita is here. She's the founder of DIKSHA. Now we're going to give the words to an adult. That's Mr. Anindit. He is the Director of Program and Policy of Save the Children India. And as you can imagine, he has a lot of work with such an enormous population, such diversity and so many challenges. So we'd love to hear from you, Anindit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I mean, it's always inspiring to have the opportunity of hearing young people from various parts of the world, and wherever they might come from, whatever background they may have, they almost always inspire, and that's quite wonderful. But what is interesting is that when individually we listen to them, we feel inspired, we feel in awe. Yet at the same time, when it comes to policy making, most often than not, we kind of forget children and forget the fact that they have a voice and they should be given one. And I think that in itself is a big issue in terms of the work that we should do. And in Save the Children, that's a practice that we have been able to bring in, that, you know, participation and partnership in everything that we do, where young people have a voice. And not, I'm certainly not talking about tokenism here. I'm talking about voice where they understand what is, you know, how the policy is being constructed, what is the impact of that policy in their lives, how they can make a difference in it, and how they can play a pivotal role, not just at the designing phase of the policy, but also, you know, throughout the life of the policy, in being able to map how that policy is kind of impacting lives of children and young people. You know, currently India, as many of you probably know, is currently India is going through the second wave of the COVID pandemic, and this is the worst that I've seen in my lifetime. And I've seen the Gujarat riots, I've seen the Gujarat earthquake, I've seen tsunami here in India, but I've never seen anything like this, because this is the first time something we are seeing where people are dying across the country. People are dying not because they have gotten COVID, because people are dying because they do not have oxygen, because they do not have intensive care unit beds in hospitals, because they do not have care providers and medical support individuals who are providing support to them. I think that is what this country is currently going through, and unfortunately, if I may say so, it still does not seem like a priority for policymakers to prioritize the combating COVID. And I think in these kinds of circumstances, we've seen extremely positive action from young people at various points. I mean, during the first pandemic, we've had young people in Odisha, where a young person has called up the local district magistrate and said, "We don't have food here. What do you want me to do? I can travel about 60 kilometers. I can get food from your offices and then distribute it myself. But we need to take some action." So we are constantly seeing children who are now becoming children and young people who are now becoming facilitators in being able to ensure that people actually, bust the myth around vaccination, because education levels in this country unfortunately are still very low, and therefore there's a lot of misunderstanding with regard to the vaccination itself. So a lot of people would not want to go in for vaccination. So I think in some of these places we have seen a lot of positive reinforcement of young people and their voice and how it is making a difference in the lives of the greater communities. A couple of things I wanted to say here. One is, in anything that we do, the principle should be nothing for us without us. If you are designing programs and policies for young people, and if you are not talking to them, if you are not engaging them into conversations, then there is something fundamentally wrong with that approach. And for a very long time, organizations, bilateral, multilateral, civil society organizations, governments, we've kind of generally miss talking to children. And what we normally do is we kind of leave it to organizations such as DIKSHA, and I've seen DIKSHA for the last 15, 20 years since it was initiated. We kind of leave it to these smaller organizations and say, well, they are going to do it, but that's not good enough. I think bringing children and young people into conversations is everyone's responsibility. The other is to kind of make sure that we go in for prevalence studies and being able to understand whatever we are doing with young people, how is that impacting their lives in the longer term. We have heard this very often across the world, where people say children and youth are our future. What people tend to forget is they are also present. The screen that I'm looking at and the young people that I'm looking at, they exist now. They're not going to come in the future. They are now. They're as we speak. So if I don't consider them as we speak, as we exist, then we are missing out on an opportunity of hearing their voice. So that's the other piece that I think is very important. The other one is, we in India and many other countries in South Asia, we have a large group of people who actually live on the streets. Street children do not get covered under the census mapping, so they are not counted. And something I would say, which is very important here, is that unless you are counted as someone, unless you have a value in terms of a social security number or being someone in the count that the government believes, you will not be considered. So make sure that any programs that we do don't just encourage children to have a voice, but also be able to be counted in the way the government does its census and other things. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm here. So happy to respond to questions later.
Thank you, Anindit. And I think, sorry that we didn't have more time. And you gave us two really good things to work with. Nothing for us without us. I think all the organizations here really would underwrite that statement. And indeed, children are not only the future, they're also the present. So thank you for giving us those two really important messages to explain what we mean. We did want to take, and I'm looking at the clock because we want to get to the breakout rooms as well, but let's take two questions from the audience or the other participants. If you have a question, put it in the chat and say who you would like to direct your question to. Does anyone have a question for either one of the youth speakers or for Mr. Anindit? If you don't, it's also fine. We're setting up the breakout rooms in the background. We're going to have breakout rooms of about 7 people. I'll pull up the questions for the breakout rooms in a minute. Olivier, Francois is asking, what can we do together? And who would you like to answer that question, Francois?
Everyone.
Everyone. So who would like to answer that question? What can we do together? Because we have this wonderful international cohort here.
I can take a minute and talk
Yeah.
about that. I think what we are doing is a great start. The fact that we are talking to each other is a good start. I think, you know, considering a lot of us are representatives of civil society organizations, one of the things that I would request is we need to come out of the silos that we belong in terms of projects and population. You know, someone works for LGBTQI communities, someone works for young people, someone works for children, someone works for women. I think it's important for us to realize that communities are communities, and it's important for us to be able to engage with communities as a whole. And I think each one of us need to break away from that silo and be able to start talking, which we are doing now. And the other point that I would want to make is that, you know, we also need to realize that different organizations have different kinds of roles. So it's not as if that, you know, there's a large organization like Save the Children who works in 120 countries for the last 100 years. No, they're not the only ones. There are, you know, thousands of other players who are doing exceedingly good work, and each one of us have a very important role to play. And I think to be able to realize one's importance in the overall game, keeping the SDGs in front and working together would add a lot of value.
Thank you. Yeah, no, really good collaboration from small to big. And for those of you concerned about our friends and the people in India, there's a couple of links in the chat of organization doing really important on the ground work who you can even donate to should you be able. So Anthony, can I ask you to pull up the slide with the questions for the breakout rooms? And we'll kick off that part of our session this afternoon. We have 2 questions for everyone to discuss. We have about 15 minutes, which is not too bad, in groups. Each group will also have a facilitator who will help the process document the ideas which will be taken to the next session. And these are our 2 questions we'd love you to talk about. One, which global causes are most important to you? So that can be an individual take. And secondly, what in your context are the barriers that hinder young people tackling global issues? Yeah, so we'll put those questions in the chat as well, and your facilitator will help you, and then calling on Anthony and Edward to send us off to breakout rooms. You should see a pop out to accept your invitation to a breakout room, and then we'll see everyone back here in about 15 minutes. If you have any questions or get lost, put them in the chat. Thanks, Edward and Anthony, for all the organization in the background.
Thank you for all of your discussions, for all of your exchanges. I've shared my screen now so that for those of you that did not see what the facilitators were doing as you were speaking, they were eagerly taking notes. This is a template document that we are using for different circle sessions to try to capture some of the ideas. As you will see, we now have 13 groups contributed their ideas on here, ranging from looking at this notion of what global causes are most important to you. So seeing group 1 explored climate change, this question of what we can do to get the youth voice heard at scale. In group 2, I'm taking a quick run through these, but we'll be hearing from some youth, hopefully, who can share some of their takeaways too. But I can see talking about design thinking, gender equality, inequality, everywhere in the world with huge gender gaps, and youth unemployment. In group 3, we've now got looking at the importance of giving youth the freedom to talk and how we can give women as well the priority, or they're not being given the priority in these discussions. And so again, this theme around gender equality. From group 5, we have this question of apathy. Young people are bored, and we need to, how can we help young people to dream, exploring possibly other passions such as gaming. Yeah, 3.3 billion play games, but there's no real emphasis on this. I'm sure that Emo, you can share more on that as well. In group 6, with Pauline, looking at human-centric design, green schools program, and environmental education masters. Fantastic. Would love to hear more. And how we can educate in a holistic, integrated way, reducing the pressure of academia. Fantastic, thank you. And lots of ideas from group 6 there. As I say, we will be sharing a detailed summary for you to return to afterwards. In group 9, training for meaningful decision making. How do we reach out to those who are not centered and can't share their voice? And group 10, around weaving changemaker skills and regenerative systems. Group 11, wow, there's looking at so many things here. Possibly we can share, I'm conscious of the time here. So in the 4 or 5 minutes that we have left, I was actually wondering whether we could give the floor to a couple of the young people that were participating in the group. So Wayul, maybe, we loved hearing your talk earlier. Could you maybe share one takeaway possibly from your group?
Wael, they're calling on you. Would you like to say something that you learned from your group?
I don't know what you mean. Can you repeat it can you translate it in Netherlands, please?
Sure. Is er iets wat je leerde? Ja, iets wat je leerde in jouw groep, wat je met ons wilt delen? Of iets wat je opviel?
No, nothing. Everything, yeah, everything was clear.
Everything was clear. Maar heb je iets geleerd of iets gehoord dat je met de rest wilt delen? Did you hear something that's worth sharing with everybody else here? Or maybe something you said yourself also?
No, I have nothing to say.
Okay, fine.
Maybe if I can give the floor, thank you, Wael, to Chinapa, possibly. Did you have anything from your group that you would like to share?
I think Chinapa is not there. He has to go because of some emergency. Maybe Sushmita or someone else can speak. Sushmita is also a staff and she's a young person.
Yeah, hello everybody. So can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, was there anything from your group, from your discussions that you would like to share with the rest of us here? Maybe one takeaway that was meaningful for you?
Yeah, yes, so definitely. So I could connect with Rekha, gender-based talks, what we were talking in, not making a differentiate between male or female and giving a priority. So yeah, that thing I would like to take back. Yeah, yeah. And also breaking the myths, what we are carrying from long ago. As a young people, yeah, we are going to break and we will break the myths what we are carrying.
Breaking the myths, you're saying that you're carrying.
Breaking the myths, like what they inherited or you inherited, Sushmita, from older generations, and you want to break those or change those stories you've been given so that you can create your own story. I guess it connects to the change the narrative idea. Yeah, answer is Nodding. And I see in the chat, people are advising us to ask Lord Pomperada to speak, that he had a lot of ideas. Is that okay, Edward? We ask Lord.
Yeah, Lord, please share with us.
Share something, Lord?
And Nidhi wants to say something.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Lord.
Can you hear me? Great. I just wanted to share that one of the things that I highlighted in our group was really a challenge in terms of the loss of sense and meaning and purpose of young people today. This is something that is very alarming, which was exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. If young people aren't motivated, if they're not encouraged, to contribute to the society, this will definitely, affect our organizations. And we also really need to work with young people to make sure that we are able to help them and bring their talents to various organizations here. We also discussed that right now there's so many distractions for young people. They have so many opportunities at the same time. So there's also a need that various that aligns their skills and interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. And Niti, I saw in the chat you had something to share. Go ahead.
So what I really liked from our discussion was the part that I would really think about even after this session as well, is that the times we are living in, everything is happening so fast. Like the intensity of things and the speed of things is really happening really fast. So I think the need of the hour is to take a moment, give some degree of boredom to your mind, as in take some mental space before taking any decision. So right now the youth is doing everything so quickly that they really don't think a lot, and they don't think critically. So that is one thing I would really like to think more about, that we need to give more mental space to people for an effective decision making. Also a kind of a mental space where they can be free even if they do mistakes, as in they shouldn't be afraid of committing mistakes. But definitely after committing mistake, you should learn from it. So the outcome should be something really positive. So that is one thing I really liked from our discussion today.
Many thanks, Niti. And indeed, Niti will be speaking on Thursday with Study Hall Foundation at our session. So really looking forward to sharing more. And I'd love to give the floor as well to another speaker from Thursday, Almaz. Maybe you can share with us from your group, possibly with relation to the second question of some barriers that may be impacting the ability of young people to really pursue and confront global challenges. Almaz, if you can hear us.
Almaz, can you hear us?
Otherwise, Paramita is inviting Joseph also. I don't know.
Joseph, would you like to say something?
Yeah, our group discussed the causes that we looked at were around education, health and well-being, and gender inequality. And we followed on by assuming that one of the barriers of access to global issues was, for example, not only young people, but people in general aren't aware of them.
Yeah.
They simply don't know about them. And this is where education could maybe play a more crucial role. We also looked at the possibility of longer funding for youth programs instead of sort of short-term funding, looking at maybe funding up to 5-10 years. So young people can actually start and complete the program, grow with it, and benefit from the long-term involvement and commitment and responsibility. So that was a few things we looked at, and basically just more global awareness. And if anything, the COVID pandemic has made us a global community. and we need to follow up and building that and get something positive from the negative situation of COVID. So that was generally a synopsis of what we were saying. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joseph, and lovely to hear. Is that a Northern Irish accent?
Northern Irish. Sorry, the north of Ireland.
And a really good point that you made, I think, of having a bit longer, because like if a young person begins at a program, you know, and they're 9, and then they go to another class, then we often lose them, so to speak. So having longer, because yeah, young people are growing and they have different things going on. I think that's a really important point.
The problem with short-term courses is that they don't generate, they can't see the relevance of them, and they feel as if they're being churned. And then when a decent program comes along, they're not even motivated to participate in it. So the short-term courses are affecting potential long-term learning as well.
And I see a hand. Thank you, Joseph. And I'm keeping my eye on the clock because we have another 4 minutes officially. And Tudor has his hand up, and we wanted to share 2 calls to action and help us link this session to the next session on Thursday, because they're group sessions, but Edward will explain that. Tudor, what did you want to share with us?
Just a quick idea from our group, which I think it's a good bridge to the next call. It comes to young people taking decisions. So the idea that we discuss is related to wisdom and the democratic model that we have. So we usually associate it with experienced or old people. Mm-hmm. They can take serious decisions, they are wise, and not so much to the young people. So maybe it was relevant a few centuries ago, but with the speed of change currently, we really need those who know the trends, who get a sense for what's happening, hence the youth, as very much part of the democratic processes and a new model of wisdom as a society. So perhaps if we have that process in place and everyone is part in taking decisions for the future, we can improve together. Thanks.
Well,
thanks very much.
And I think that yeah, I see that there's a few groups that as well that have shared the same points. And I do apologize, we didn't get a chance to hear from all of the groups, but it connects really to our calls to action moving forward. And so possibly what we can do is if Anthony, you could just share the screen so that we can share a few of the calls to action. So I think, Emma, do you want to share more about Design-a-thon's method?
Yeah, we have our method for the 8 to 12-year-olds. It's very usable by many organizations. So should you be interested, please put your email in the chat or send me an email at emer@Design-a-thon. We'd love to share the methodology, train you if needed. And DIKSHA has a lot of online campaigns going on. We're just about to put the links in the chat that you can connect to the work that they're doing on Facebook, Twitter, or via the email address there. Back to you, Edward, for the next steps.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm very conscious of time. So in 1 minute.
1 minute. No, we have one more thing to do after you, Edward, but please, please share the next session.
Yeah, so next session is on Thursday at 3 o'clock CEST. This will be a chance to hear from more incredible speakers of youth, from Kids for SDGs, from Kids for a Better World, from Youth Climate Action Plan, from Study Hall Foundation, but also really dive into more the next steps for this circle, as Tudor alluded to as well at the end. So in this session, we'll be able to sketch out some clear steps moving forward to future sessions. We will indeed share with you a detailed summary of today, but please do join us on Thursday as we get more and more concrete and move forward with this circle. And one more point from my side as well is a massive part of this circle is it's a co-creation. And so this is an intergenerational co-creation. So we're really asking all of you, if you can, firstly, I'm just going to put the link to this questionnaire in the chat. If you can take a moment now while it's fresh, we would really appreciate you just filling in this short questionnaire. In this questionnaire, we just asked what you enjoyed from this session, what didn't quite work for you, but then also what do you want to see if we can continue with this circle session and build on the momentum of today. What would you like to see in future sessions? Maybe these are views that you want to see represented. Maybe these are certain subgroups. And you can indicate as well if you would like to be kept in the loop about future sessions. But we would really value your feedback as you will be key leads together with us co-creating this circle and really building impactful projects moving forward for youth empowerment. So thank you so much in advance for your responses there. And that is it for me. Emo, if you have any final words?
Yeah, just final thoughts as I look at the clock. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Soham, Zineb, Chinapa, Ansar, Paramita, Edward. I'm probably forgetting some people. We organized really well together. Thank you to our youth speakers, Wael, Eliza, Soham, Harshita, and the other people from Dream a Dream, and our special guest, of course, Anindit. Last question, if you still want to hang out with us, is, what's your wish for this group? Because we want to continue with this wonderful energy of people sharing, intergenerational, listening to young people, walking the talk. We have a next session, but what's your takeaway? What's your mission? What's your wish for us all here today? Put something in the chat and share those good wishes that we can continue this important collaboration with intergenerational young people. For me, it's, I love that. Nothing for us without us. That's my, my takeaway. We can also do this because it's always feels like we're a little bit together, even though we're all over the world. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and hope to see us again in different collaborations.
Yeah, and more input from youth participants. Absolutely, yes. We have had a few talks today. There will be more talks as well on Thursday, as well as opportunities for breakouts to interact. What we tried to do today was make sure that there was a balance of young people and adults in each group, but it's a bit tricky with a game of chess managing the breakouts, but 100%. Trying to give that space to young people. I don't know whether we have any other youth that are still with us in the call at the moment that had any final thoughts that they wanted to share, maybe connected as well to Ema's question. Why are you making people aware of the role and ambition of young people and sustainable constructive discussions and actions?
Children for president. That's a great idea, because we have some children mayors. It's an upcoming thing here in the Netherlands in any case. So we should go for the children president as well, that there's one beside the country's president.
This was a point actually from Youth by Youth. I've spoken with Zina, but I don't know if you're still in the call, but you mentioned this before. Maybe you could share, if Eliza's still with us, your idea around youth in decision-making parts of educational policy. I don't know whether you wanted to share more, or Eliza, if you're in the call.
Sure, I can share quickly. So we're kind of making the point that the UNCRC, which is the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, actually has a few articles in it that mention specifically that young people have the right to decision-making over their education. And it's clearly, one, it's the most signed treaty in history. and two, it's clearly some of the articles that are most violated generally. So what we have is we started to kind of disseminate a petition where we're saying the youth rights are being violated according to this, well, the UNCRC convention. And we're asking for every education ministry to have a youth group that they have to consult and has to be involved in their decision making that would be representative of young people. And a number of other things like having youth groups for specific issues that have arisen during COVID, and for outside of school experiences to be recognized as learning and educational experiences, kind of like breaking the monopoly of school on education. So those are, yeah, some of the petitioning and campaigning action we're involved in.
Fantastic, thank you. I just see there's a couple of hands, maybe Almaz, if your mic's working now. Would you like to share?
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I had some technical issues earlier. So I just wanted to share a little bit about youth activism in the context of South Africa. So historically, South Africa has had a very strong heritage of youth activism, starting way back in 1976 when the youth laid down their lives for our freedom. So specifically in South Africa, in the context of climate change. So late, I think in September last year, we started the Youth Climate Action Plan. And the drafting process took place all the way till December. And we included points like having rigid platforms for youth to participate in policy and to always have their voices heard. And our action plan actually got approved by government to be included in the city's National Climate Action Plan. So it was really exciting. But just a few weeks ago, we went to our implementation phase and starting to work out a strategy. And one of the main things that we looked at in including youth in the decision-making process was to actually have a youth representative in Parliament and in different forums and offering their opinion with their specific contexts. And I think in South Africa, the momentum is just picking up. We started a national youth climate action plan. So this is people from all around the country and from all different socioeconomic backgrounds. So I think that's definitely something that the youth in South Africa are looking to innovate and get the great think tanks from all around the world to try and collaborate with them on this very important topic.
Thank you, Almaz. And indeed, I'm sure you'll be able to share more about this as well on Thursday when you'll be speaking with us. Do not hesitate as well to share any links you've got in the chat. I really am sorry to all of you and to those that had your hands up. We are at the end of our time or over now, and there are some incredible events that are still happening across Catalyzing Change Week. So we will have to end it there, but please do come and join us on Thursday at 3 CET for the next session, where hopefully as well there'll be plenty of opportunity to hear from more inspiring youth like Almaz, and also to share within the breakout rooms about how we can concretely move this forward and keep this momentum going as a space to really build collaboration and move forward youth projects. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. Thank you, everyone. Let's keep this good energy of connection and sending wishes to our Indian friends for staying up so late, and good luck with the challenges you have there. And let's keep this going.
A huge thank you to everyone who organized and facilitated this session as well. It was really, really incredible. And really, thank you so much for bringing it all together so wonderfully. So congratulations to you all as well. Thank you so much.
See you on Thursday.
Bye, everyone.